It's me, Mel's, and I am so excited to be filming this video today because we are talking about the movie that inspired this channel. And that movie is 2020's The Special, a horror, thriller, disgusting masterpiece. The Special was directed by B. Harrison Smith. It stars Davey Rafley, and Dave Sheridan. So the movie opens with a nice peaceful scene of a man making a wooden box by hand. We can see him cutting the wood, putting it together. I think we see him like varnishing it as well. And then we cut to two friends sitting in a bar. And those two friends are two of our main characters, Jerry and Mike, with Jerry being our protagonist, if you will. But I think as we go along, you'll see that he is actually pretty terrible, but he's our main character. So when we come into the bar, Mike is telling Jerry basically how he should get revenge on his wife, Lisa, who Jerry believes is cheating on him. In fact, Mike's exact words are,
"The best revenge is revenge."
Jerry seems a little apprehensive at first. He actually seems genuinely hurt by his wife's potential infidelity. He really just seems like he just wants to chill at the bar with his friend, but Mike will not let it go. He keeps pressuring Jerry and tells him he wants to get him the special. And eventually, after some more poking and prodding, Jerry agrees, and we see him and Mike in the car with each other getting ready to go to the location where Jerry will receive the special. And I think this part is kind of interesting because before they even leave the parking lot, Mike makes Jerry put a bag over his head because he essentially already knows that Jerry is gonna become addicted to this thing. Mike knows his friend Jerry well enough that he knows whatever this thing is gonna have Jerry so hooked that he's literally gonna go broke over it. I think Mike actually said those words. And of course, Jerry is just like, whatever, what's the big deal? Why do I need to wear a bag over his head? But Mike insists. So Jerry eventually puts the bag on his head. And it's kind of crazy because it's a plastic bag. It looks like a Walmart bag or something like that. And I'm just like, suffocation? No one's worried about it. Okay. So when they pull up, the neon sign says psychic, but it's actually a brothel on the inside. Although there is a psychic there, there are also ladies there. So they go inside, and this part is also kind of interesting because the first woman they talk to in the lobby of this psychic establishment knows Jerry's name already. And she knows that he came to get the special. And I thought that was really interesting because it's like, okay, so are they really psychics or are they prostitute psychics? No shade at all whatsoever, but that would make an interesting movie, I think. So anyways, they negotiate on the price. It's $60 for the special, and Jerry goes to the room to receive whatever it is. He still has no freaking clue what he's getting himself into. And you can tell when they take him to the room, he's kind of confused because there's no one else in there. The only thing in the room is a wooden box, the same wooden box that we saw in the opening of the movie, which actually ends up being a little bit of foreshadowing. So it's just a wooden box with a hole cut in it and the words "stick it in here" written on it. And Jerry is laughing at first like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is so special about this? But he's here. It's already paid for. So he goes ahead and sticks it in there. And whatever is in there gives him the most mind-blowing experience. He literally passes out. Like, immediately. Passed out. Mike comes in the room and Jerry is literally laid out, knocked out. So Mike and the bouncer have to carry Jerry out to the car with his junk still out. I don't know why they couldn't just tuck it in the room, but Mike literally makes a comment about how his junk was still out. So they literally have to carry him out to the car. I forgot to mention that before Mike carried Jerry out to the car, the madam at the brothel told him to make sure that Jerry never comes back because Jerry is, and I quote, "the one it wants." She didn't elaborate on that, but doesn't sound good. By the time Mike gets Jerry back home, we can hear Jerry already begging Mike to tell him where that location was, where he can go back to get the special. And this can't be good, right? It hasn't even been an entire day yet. And Jerry is literally already fiending to go back and experience the special again. And if you remember, Mike literally made that man wear a bag over his head because he knew he was gonna get so hooked on that thing. So it's very interesting that in the the span of less than a few hours, probably, he is already saying, I just need it. Please tell me where it is. Like, that's kind of insane. Also, when Jerry gets home, this is the first time that we actually meet his wife, Lisa, and she doesn't seem happy at all that her husband is coming home drunk with his best friend. So she just kind of goes off into the room, and it literally, as soon as she's gone, Jerry is back to begging, saying that he just needs it one more time and only once a week. It's really kind of crazy. Like, he is really cracked out on that thing, whatever it is. It's the next day, and Jerry's looking a little worse for wear. He looks like maybe he didn't sleep very well, or he has a really, really bad hangover. He's really irritable, and he just acts like he doesn't want to be at work, which, I mean, to be fair, that's probably standard for a lot of people, right? So Jerry's at work and kind of fiddling around. He can't concentrate. He misses the special. He needs it. He wants it bad. So we see him on his computer looking for psychics in the area, and he actually calls one. Not the same one from before, but just another psychic. I think the other psychic's name is like Madame Zona, something like that. I'll put it like somewhere. But he basically bullies this new psychic into telling him where the other psychic is. And it actually works. There's a lot of psychics in this movie, now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe he just like described her and it's like a psychic circle and she didn't use her psychic powers. Anyways, so he ends up finding exactly what he's looking for. When Jerry gets to the brothel, Madame Zora answers the door. And of course she doesn't want to let him in, but he convinces her to let him visit with the special again. And this time he doesn't pass out immediately. He's still coherent and aware. So he starts kind of like investigating the box, trying to look inside, trying to figure out what's going on. He picks it up and shakes it even. And I'm not sure if Madame Zora maybe like heard him or sensed something, but she comes into the room while he's shaking the box that's holding the special. When she tries to stop him, he accidentally hits her and it looks like he breaks her neck, but she's still alive, at least until she's not, because he makes sure that she's not. And then he grabs the box and runs up out of there. Now, understandably, he doesn't want to take his new side piece home where he lives with his wife. So he stops at like a local apartment / motel type of deal, pays for a room there, and takes the special to the room. This part is kind of funny because like he gets the bed all made up and like you could tell he's doing like the Birdman hand rub. He is ready to be reunited with his new love. And then his alarm goes off, or I think like his watch goes off or something. And he remembers like, oh, I have a job. I have somewhere I have to be right now. So he hides the special under the bed and leaves the apartment to go back to work, back to his job. While he's in the hallway, there is a maid out there getting ready to clean the rooms. And she asks him if he wants his room cleaned. And he literally flips out on her, telling her to never clean his room. In fact, he gets all up in her face and everything. She says, okay, I won't clean your room. And he heads back to work. So when Jerry gets back to work, he is temperamental, we'll say. He's acting like he's kind of going through some kind of withdrawals, maybe. He's like super snippy. He doesn't really want to be bothered with anyone. And Mike is trying to get him to go out to the bar with him, but Jerry tells him that he can't because him and Lisa are going out to dinner because they worked everything out and they just want to spend time together. We will very shortly find out that this is actually a lie. And Jerry can't go out with Mike because Jerry wants to spend time with his side piece, aka the special. So we almost immediately cut to him basking in the afterglow of a session with the special. He decides to do a little exploring. He gets a little curious and he actually sticks his fingers inside of the box. And I mean, I guess to be fair, he's already stuck something else in there, so why not fingers? It couldn't possibly get any worse, really. But without knowing what's in there, I cannot imagine sticking my hand in there. But also, I'm not a guy, so maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know. But he sticks his fingers in there and out comes some kind of substance. It looks like slimy maybe. And for whatever reason, he decides to try applying this slime to his member. And it actually has the same effect as when he uses the box. So, in this part, this movie movie is so funny. I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to be a horror, but it's so funny. It's so out of pocket. So he takes some of the goo and puts it into like this like tube to take some home and save it for later. Disgusting. It's so gross. So now that he's had his little rendezvous with the special, he can now go home to his wife, and he tries to alleviate himself with some of the goo that he extracted from the box. But his wife actually comes in on him like as he's about to do it, and she takes that as a sign that maybe they should do some stuff that married couples do. And this part is kind of interesting because it kind of feels like there is some like ethical issues here, because he is using the goo on himself. He's very, well, I won't say he's very aware of what it does, but he's at least semi-aware. And she comes in the room and they start getting intimate, and he doesn't say anything about it. And they just do it. I don't know. It just kind of feels weird to me. I'm sure that he feels it's harmless, but also like, we don't know what that goo is. We don't know what that is. We don't know where it came from. We don't know what's in it. We don't know anything about it. And then to subject your wife to that seems kind of like, I don't know. It just, in the several times I've watched this movie, that part always kind of just felt icky to me. Because at least I'm like, hey, babe, I got this new this thing we should try, you know, whatever. And he didn't give her that option. So the next day, we see Jerry at the doctor. He has a rash down there, and he was just with his wife. The doctor tries to get Jerry to come clean about whatever it is he's been doing, because he's obviously been doing something. And Jerry insists that he hasn't been cheating. Only person he's been with is his wife, etc., etc. So the doctor basically prescribes him some generic antibiotic ointment and says, whatever you're doing, stop it. Now, whatever kind of rash it is that Jerry has, it seems really painful, because when he's applying the ointment, like he's literally like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So yikes. So after the doctor, Jerry goes home to rest for a bit, and Lisa actually comes home while he's there. And she asks him exactly what kind of sick is he, because she thinks that she had a miscarriage. Now, I didn't mention earlier, but when Jerry came home drunk that very first night after using the special, Lisa actually told him that she was pregnant. He did not seem like he was happy at all. So now that she's telling him she thinks she had a miscarriage, he is basically like, oh, well, we can try again another time. It's fine. And she does not feel great about that at all. You can see it all over her face. So the next day after Jerry's sick day, he goes back to his love nest with the special, except something is wrong. Something is going on. Jerry reaches inside the box and there's no goo. It's a bit dry in there, if you will. So in a panic, he runs to the nearest hardware store and grabs a set of bolt cutters, because there's a bolt on the box holding the special. Cuts it open the box, and we don't see what's in there, but based off of Jerry's face, whatever it is, it stinks. Now, immediately after opening the box, again, like I said, they don't show us what's in there. We cut to Lisa coming home and receiving a phone call from Jerry's job. And they said, what's going on with Jerry? How come he's not coming to work? And Lisa said, he's not at work? And his job said, he's not at home? So Jerry's caught up from both sides, and it doesn't help that at this moment, Lisa is also opening their mail and finds a credit card statement with, guess what? You guessed it, the hotel charge on there. So naturally, Lisa sees that and immediately is out of there and headed over to the hotel. This leads to one of the funniest parts in the movie to me. Lisa comes to the hotel. Obviously, she doesn't know what room Jerry's in, but she does know that he is there. And she's coming down the hallway where Jerry's room is. The same maid that Jerry yelled at earlier is in the hallway. And she sees Lisa, bangs on Jerry's door, and Jerry starts yelling. So Lisa hears him and knows exactly where he is. Shout out to that maid, because that's how you do it. She didn't say a word. She literally just knocked on his door, and Jerry started yelling about how he said he didn't want his room cleaned, and Lisa found him that way. So that's how you do a little petty. I love that. So Jerry lets Lisa into the room for whatever reason. I don't know. I would have played dead. Like, even if you just heard me yelling, no, you didn't. I'm not in here. But yeah, he lets her in. And immediately the smell hits her. And this movie is a comedy, I swear. She literally asks if that smell is the other woman. Can you imagine? Can you imagine thinking your man is cheating on you, and then when you get there, you think it's a Ciao. So Lisa and Jerry kind of get into it, going back and forth. And Lisa is not giving in. She is going to find out who is in that room with her man. And honestly, I get it, girl. Especially if you already came that far. Like, if she's in here, let's have a conversation. So she's looking around the room, looking for the potential other woman, and ends up in the bathroom. And in the bathtub is the special. And how do I say this? It looks like if a bowling ball was alive, like pulsing, squishing, breathing, veiny, slimy bowling ball. That's what it looks like. And understandably, Lisa is like, what is that? I'm thinking you're cheating on me. What is that? That's when Jerry comes out of literally nowhere. Chokes Lisa out. Chokes her out. Chokes her out. Just no talking, no conversation, no baby, let me explain. Chokes her out. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. So he chokes her out or whatever. She goes down. He immediately gets in the bathtub and is like, baby, to the special, to this pulsing, slimy, disgusting bowling ball looking thing. He checks on it, making sure it's okay. Lisa, it's not funny. Lisa starts coming to again. So he gets up, grabs the bolt cutters, and ends her. He ends his wife there in that bathroom. So after that, he's got to get up out of there. You cannot stay in the room where you just committed a literal moida. So he packs the special up and takes it on home. Now, I'm not exactly sure why he does this next part, but once he gets home, he covers up all the windows with black garbage bags. I'm not sure if maybe like he felt like that was the type of environment that the special needed, but he covers up all the windows with garbage bags and sort of like sets up this like kind of like mood lighting. It's actually kind of nice. So while all this is going on, we cut to Mike hanging out at the same bar that they were originally hanging out at in the beginning of the movie. And a news report comes on about the death of Madame Zora, the madam at the brothel where the special was located. And in the news report, they speak to the bouncer. And the bouncer looks directly into the camera and says something along the lines of, I know who you are. I know what you're going through. I can help you. This is interesting because, like I said before, as the movie has progressed, we've seen Jerry go from looking kind of hungover maybe to a full-on rash. So the sickness, whatever it is definitely spreading. Mike sees this news report and he already knows what's up. He knows his friend is involved somehow. And he literally goes straight to Jerry's house to confront him and find out what the is going on. But when Mike gets to Jerry's house, Jerry isn't there. Mike just lets himself inside. He's looking around trying to see, you know, what might potentially be going on. And he stumbles into the bathroom where Jerry has been storing the special in the bathtub. And understandably, Mike is like, what the is that? And as Mike is observing the special, he hears Jerry come home. And at first, Jerry, you know, totally plays it off like, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 etc. And then Mike is straight up like, I went in your bathroom. I saw the thing. I saw it, that thing in your bathroom. And in an effort to kind of like connect with his friend and sort of like maybe like de-escalate things, Mike tells him like, yo, if you killed that woman, if you killed Madame Zora, we can cover it up. We can figure it out. We can work it out. We're white men. We can get away with it. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. That last part is not what he said, but that was definitely the vibe. And Jerry's just kind of like, yeah, listening to him. It's like, yeah, you know. Yeah. And then Jerry goes, well, what about Lisa? And Mike is like, well, what about Lisa? And Jerry's like, well, I killed her too. And Mike is like, oh, snap. That's where I draw the line. That's crazy. That's too much. So naturally, the news about Lisa's passing is a little bit more than Mike bargained for. I mean, to be fair, all of this is a lot, but that was a bit much. Mike takes out his phone and Jerry sees this. And, you know, this man got some quick reflexes. He smothers Mike with a plastic bag. kind of ironic. Maybe a callback to the beginning with the bag over his head. I'm not really sure. And the crazy thing about it is Jerry has now killed his wife and his best friend. And afterwards, he's like, whatever, and goes back to lay in the bed with the special, like cuddling it and stroking it and just like basically like being in love with it. It's crazy. Now, the next day, Jerry is freaking out because for some reason, the special is not okay. It's turned black. It seems like it has literally melted, and Jerry is freaking out. So he does the only thing he can do, and he goes back to the brothel where he stole the special and where he killed Madame Zora. And the bouncer's there, and he actually lets him in. He's actually extremely understanding. He understands that sometimes stuff just happens, and he takes Jerry and the special back to the original room where they came from, and he tells Jerry just to wait there. He'll be back in a minute to help him. And Jerry does exactly that. He sits in the room and waits for the bouncer to come back. While the bouncer is gone, Jerry starts feeling extremely ill, like rapidly deteriorating, feeling worse and worse and worse. And in between cuts of Jerry's deteriorating condition, we also see the bouncer making another box. Another box exactly like the original box in the opening, the original box that the special came in. And by the time the bouncer is done making this new, pristine, handcrafted box, Jerry is essentially a puddle. He can't move, he can't speak, he almost has melted into the bed. And we see the bouncer come in and remove Jerry's head from his body very easily. It gives him almost no resistance whatsoever, and places that head, or what's left of it, into the box. He puts a lock on it and puts it on the nightstand to wait for the next customer. This movie, like I said, it's supposed to be a horror, maybe it's because I'm not a man, but I found so many parts of it hilarious just because they were so outrageous. And nothing about like what was supposed to be scary was funny, but just like the way that he just jumped his wife and was like, well, you gotta die. Like that's pure comedy. Like, I'm sorry. At the time of recording this, you can actually watch the special here on YouTube for free. That's actually where I watched it for the third time for the purposes of this video. I definitely recommend, to be honest. It's like a hellified B movie, or like C or D movie maybe even, but the concept is interesting, and I think it's kind of worth it just to like see the special in general. It's just so gross. It's so gross. And yeah, I definitely recommend if you're into that type of thing. If you're not into like gross, like kind of like absurd horror thrillers, then maybe don't bother. But I loved it enough to actually be inspired by it to make this channel. And this is my very first video on this channel ever. So yeah, if you like this video, be sure to like this video. If you made it all the way to the end, you're definitely a real one. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.